Regarding this legislation, I have several observations which address the specifics of the bill rather than the broad policy issue of CWIP. You need to be aware that this bill does not simply authorize construction work in progress, such as that used prior to 1976. If you want to revert to how CWIP was handled prior to 1976, the simplest way of achieving its lawful use is to simply repeal Section 393.135, which is the first paragraph of the bill, that is existing language and statute. By placing brackets around the first paragraph, you would legalize CWIP and revert to pre-1976 law. No other action will be required for the lawful application of construction work in progress. I would further express support for subsection 2 of the proposed 393.135, which is new language that would authorize expressly the form of rate making and finance utilized in the ITAN 2 project in KCP&L's service territory. I would recommend that you change the word authorize in line 3 of that section to order to fully give the Commission the ability to implement such a program. But you will notice that the bill is longer than one page and stretches out to nearly 24 pages of new language. It is my understanding that the staff, and Mr. Chairman, I want to make sure you've received this, it's my understanding that the staff has supplied its own comments and that those comments, I believe, have been provided to the committee.
I went to the sponsor. I don't know if he's shared it or not.
Okay. Well, the sponsor requested the staff analysis, and I think that's been distributed. So in the event you're interested in that, we'll try to make sure that a copy gets to you. Okay.
I'll give it to him.
My concerns at a very high level are that this bill is far more than traditional construction work in progress. It has mandates for a new process that may hamstring the staff from their work and will lead to a reduced quality of decisions. It includes pre-approval of projects and suggests that certain burdens be shifted to parties other than the utility in the rate-making process. The new process could lead to problems in information exchange or mandated discovery. It dictates rolling rate cases every 3 months during the life of construction, which will require a dedicated staff. While the bill references prudence reviews by staff, the timelines of those reviews may not allow the staff or other parties to conduct an adequate review on behalf of consumers. Some of the decisions will not even require a hearing, and there are changes to the process of judicial review following a decision of the Commission. For some of the new provisions, it is unclear why the language is included, and we may not know until later how those sections will be used, including references to subsidiary ownership. It is my belief that the staff's effectiveness and role will be limited because of how this bill is drafted. I think many of the provisions that reduce staff's role in the bill may be by design and intended to do just that. A number of parties have suggested that you can depend on the staff to protect the public interest in cases that will arise following the passage of this legislation. Today, the staff has that power but may lose its ability under this bill.
Should we build a nuclear power plant? I have no idea. But if you don't change the law, I don't think we can even honestly consider it, because I think under Section 393.135, as it stands today, those financing arrangements are either illegal or there is such a question as to their legality that it could prevent Ameren UE from receiving financing. Obviously, you heard testimony a couple of weeks ago. I mean, everyone is concerned about the cost of a new nuclear power plant, and they should be. I mean, we're hearing from people on a daily basis that they cannot afford their rates. And, you know, I've heard estimates from the Ameren side saying that they would only have to raise rates up to 3% for 6 years. 3% a year for 6 years, that could be upwards of 18%. You know, I've heard that there's an estimate from the Office of Public Counsel that's actually 40%. And my concern is that I don't think either side is making full disclosure of the rate increases that are likely to occur. You know, this commission has raised Ameren UE rates approximately 10% in the last year and a half or two. And when we do that, it's because we're following the law. It's, you know, it's cost-based regulation. When the utilities costs go up, when they invest money in a new plant, you know, if there are no decreases in expenses to offset it, then they are probably entitled to a rate increase. And this last 10% has come without any Callaway 2 expenses, and it all comes at a time when your constituents are least able to afford it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, because if Congress passes a cap and trade bill like the ones most commonly thought to have the most support, particularly with the 100% auction proposal that has been offered by President Obama, in all likelihood, St. Louis electric rates are going to double in the next few years, and what manufacturing jobs we have left in this state will be fleeing to other countries. At that point, a 40% rate increase spread out over 6 years may not look so bad.
If you look at a map and how power is consumed in the United States, and you see that all the voters tend to live on the coast, and the East Coast and the West Coast, and they tend not to get their power from coal. And then I see with the recent presidential election how coal has come under such severe scrutiny. I wonder your thoughts about the future of our jurisdiction and how we generate power, because it sure looks like to me that the days of coal are in the rearview mirror, and that nuclear is going to have to be a part of the future. And if you would just kind of look at the political situation you see now and tell me what your thoughts on that subject are. Now, I'm actually interested in listening to the chairman, because I think I gathered your comments and thoughts from your comments.
If you're talking about just the idea of baseload generation, large-scale baseload generation, Commissioner Davis is right. You're probably looking at two options. You're looking at nuclear or coal. Coal has a questionable future just because of the climate issue and because of the cap and trade and the carbon tax discussion that's going on in the Congress. There's a lot of uncertainty about what new coal generation means. Now, things change a great deal. 2005 was when we approved the stipulation and agreement that approved an 800 megawatt coal facility for KCP&L. And you had a unanimous agreement that moved forward with that, even though there was still a lot of discussion about climate change, about coal, about CO2. So you're really only talking about two options. And I think Missouri definitely needs to be discussing all of its options, including nuclear.
But if I look at